The Kirinayan were now walking back through the camp of the ball axe together. Eon explains to the MC that if he didn't have a place to sleep, you could just sleep on your friend's hammock. And if he was ever hungry, he could get food from someone who was more affluent. Iron tells him that this was how the Baloks were living as she turns to the MCA. Eon then informed the MC that they had arrived at the matriarch's house, which was the cottage tent covered with skulls shown before Iron entered the house first, and informs her mother that they were here as the MC entered the house. He catches the word. Mother Iron's mother stood up saying, "You're here." She takes note that Ion had brought back the empirical boy that she was talking about every day. Hearing this made Iron fluster, as she tells her mother that she didn't talk about Vikir every day. The MC connected the dots in his head after seeing that Iron was the matriarch's daughter of the Balak tribe, which might be that her mother was the Night Fox. The Night Fox was the female ballot warrior who had scarred Hugo's nose bridge, and was the reason behind why the MC could not cross the Laruji-Talanwar Mountains landscape. The MC think about his past self and wondered what would happen to his past version if he had gone up against her. He started to experiment in his head about his chances if he were to fight her in head-on combat, which ended up in 0%. He then thought of his chances of winning if he went through the assassination route, but realized that it was still at 0%. The MC gulps nervously as a sweat drips down from his face after imaging those situations in his head. Seeing the Night Fox's intense, deadly aura up close made him realize that if he had run away, his chances were only a mere 20%, but the 20 would only be referring to his survival rate. The Night Fox take a look at the MC face and tell him that he had seen his face before. The MC wondered nervously if she had realized that he was from the same bloodline as Hugo by instinct. But the Night Fox brushes it off by saying that most Imperial men look the same. She asks Zion about what she was planning on doing to the MC, as he was no different from but Iron tell her that the MC would be useful once he received good treatment, as he was the one who attacked Madame Eight Legs after all. But her mother warns her that taking action without knowing your place might come back to bite you. The Night Fox brushes off Ion's initial intentions, as it didn't matter to her whether Baker's body was destroyed or not. She only cared about whether his seed was fine. Iron became flustered and told her mother that it was not about that. The MC begins to inspect certain objects in the house while the mother and daughter continued to argue. Iron tells her mother that she was going to use the MC was a slave, but her mother was surprised to hear that, as she was talking about doing something else to the MC. Before her mother could complete her sentence, Iron yells at her that she just needed Vikir as a slave to support her during Hunt's Night Fox. Soon pats Iron's head, which causes her to blush, as she tells her that it is up to the owner to do what they want to do with their slave Eon. Then takes a peek and sees the MC checking out the main pillar of the house. They soon left the house and went to walk back to the forest. As they walk together, the MC tells Ian that he had a question. He asks her what her name was, cause an eye and to yell at him about suddenly asking a question all of a sudden, and how he dared to ask question as a slave. But the MC informs her that he does not intend to call her master, which was why he asked what her name was. Iron rubs her head before telling the MC that her name was Iron. The MC then introduces himself as the MC and asks her what she wanted him to do by her name. Iron was flustered of the MC calling her by her name, and told him how dare a slave call her by her name. She then decides to give the MC his first order. Iron points her finger at her and shouts out that his first order was to build a house that he will be living in from now on, thinks mischievously about how the MC was acting too arrogant as a slave, and that there was no way an imperial bastard like him would know how to build a house. She continues to think that ordering a slave around was part of a master's competency, and that she needed to use this chance to rebalance the hierarchy between them. Meanwhile, the MC was thinking about the first order of building a house. He smiles and says that this was going to be fun. After some time, we see Ian standing still with her hands behind her back, wearing a stunned expression on her face. The MC points to a makeshift tent and tells her that he had carried out her order. She looks at the tent that the MC built and wondered why he was so good at building tents. She thought that he would have struggled to build a house because of his injured body. Iron turns around to look at the building materials that she brought over. She thinks that since he managed to build the house, there was no use for the items that she had brought with her. The MC was happy with the house he built. As he thought that it had been a while, He recalls his past memories during the time of destruction, when swordsmen were only good at wielding swords, which was why they couldn't survive. So in order to survive in extreme situations, one would need to learn a variety of survival skills. Iron inspects the trains that the MC had dug out and commented that they were perfect too. The MC informs her that the matriarch's tent looked unstable. This catches Ian's attention as it was about her mother that Vikir explained to her in detail in regards to her mother's tent problems, stating that in its current state during the rainy seasons, the ground around the central pillar will shake, which might cause water to leak through if she orders him to. The MC was willing to mix slimy dirt and gravel on the opposite hill to create bricks, which he will reinforce the bricks by spreading oil and burning it. Hearing the long explanation made in order of a MC to do what he said, as she was thinking the same thing. The MC then went on to gather the materials to create the bricks as and watched him from behind a tree. He then started to roast the brick mixture to form the actual bricks while Iron watched closely by his side. They soon met up with the matriarch once again with the MC carrying a wagon filled with the bricks he had made. Knife Fox was surprised to learn about her house problems from them. After a while, the MC had created a solution made up of bricks to help resolve the issues the matriarch's house was having. The matriarch tells them that she was frustrated because of the numerous amount of time she had tried to repair the roof water would still be leaked through. She now realizes that the main problem was the main pillar. She tells the MC that he had done a good job while informing her daughter that she had picked up quite a useful male. She then instructs Vikir to go around the barracks to take care of tedious matters such as this. Iron remains silent while looking concerned at the MC, nods his head upon hearing her mother's command. The MC was seen washing the rags at a nearby river when Ian calls out to him, catching his attention. She asks him if it was exhausting to just slave away and wonders if he wants to be an official member of their tribe. The MC continues to watch the rags while answering her that slaving away wasn't too bad. He thinks about how it was much more peaceful being a slave here than being part of the Baskervilles or living in the underdog city. Ian was surprised to hear that kind of reply from the MC. She stated that from the way Vikir spoke, he had been disciplined well, and that from a slave's perspective it would be hard to complain. The care continued to tell her that it really was not that bad. Ian the replies saying there was no way it wasn't when he was doing tough and tedious work. The MC ignores her and continues to do his work. Iron follows behind him and tells him to not be silent and to follow her as she would be able to help him in terms of surviving and adjusting in the Balix tribe. Iron informs him that if he does a good job, she will remove the rope around his neck. This offer catches the MC attention, and he turns around to tell her that the offer sounded appealing. He then asks her about what he should do. Ian smiles and tells him that he needed to go on a hunt a huge prey. She explained that the tribe's warriors haven't been able to catch prey large enough, making the growing children unable to eat meat for a while. In other words, the MC needed to bring in a huge prey, so that changing his title from slave to common or wouldn't be hard. Ian, and then smacks the back of the MC, causing him to flinch with a smile on her face. She tells the MC that he had no problem moving light objects, and that all he needed to do was just assist her. The MC was showing an annoyed expression after being smacked on the back, just as Ian tells him about how lucky he was to be the slave of the Balex hunting commander. The MC thought about the job of hunting for a moment, and then agreed to join Iron in hunting. Hearing this brought joy to Ian as she smiles widely while blushing a bit. She tells Vikir that they would be leaving tomorrow, but the MC was curious about why she was smiling like that. Ian tells him she wasn't just as a foot appears behind a tree. A harmless glaring angrily upon hearing the conversation between Iron and Vikir. He sees how close the MC was getting to Iron and calls him a disgusting bastard jelly.